All right, thanks, Lester. That big endorsement capped off a wild week for the presidential candidates, from controversial comments on race to a surprise visit to Iraq. Rachel Maddow is an MSNBC political analyst and host of the Rachel Maddow Show. Rachel, good morning.
Hi, Amy. Nice to see you.
Oh, so it hasn't been a great week for any of the candidates. How would you sum up all the events that took place?
It was a big week for all of the candidates. I think probably the candidate who benefited the most this week was John McCain. Only because he had that big gaffe about mixing up Iran as Shia and Al-Qaeda as Sunni, and then it kind of disappeared. I think any other week when there wasn't so much attention to what was going on the Democratic side, that would have been a huge deal for him. The fact that he seems to have weathered that, it has not turned into a huge media storm, has got to feel good for him, because if that had happened to either of the Democrats, probably would have been devastating.
And Rachel, McCain also confused a Jewish holiday with Halloween, or at least compared the two, and then he didn't exactly bring in much cash compared to what his Democratic rivals were doing, and none of that really made big news.
That's right. That's the opportunity cost, which Governor Richardson was just alluding to in that interview with Lester. That's the opportunity cost of the fact that the Democrats are still locked in mortal combat. It means that the Republicans, already having a nominee, get this opportunity to have their nominee travel abroad. He's unifying the party. He gets to dig out of his horrible fundraising hole that he's in. He's got the luxury of no attention at this point, while every twist and turn on the Democratic side gets so much media attention.
Yeah, let's talk about the Democratic side. We'll start with Barack Obama. First, there was, of course, those comments from Reverend Wright. Then you have the landmark speech given by Barack Obama. And then as he's trying to explain something he says something else that causes some controversy, talking about white people. Then he does finally end the note with that big endorsement from Governor Bill Richardson. But what do you make of it? How would you sum up this week for Barack Obama?
I think Barack Obama probably overall is looking at a better week next week than he looked at last week. Even though this week was very difficult for him, I think it's turning him in a positive direction. The other big issue this week for him contextually is that Florida and Michigan, it looks like, will not have a redo. That makes any scenario under which Hillary Clinton wins the nomination, makes those scenarios increasingly outlandish. It is starting to look more and more like Barack Obama is ahead in this campaign. And so even though it was rocky for him this week, I think he's probably looking forward eagerly to next week.
Yeah, I think so too. Probably tomorrow's a better day. Richardson's endorsement, and most endorsements for the most part are meaningless when it comes to what it actually does for the candidate. Yeah. But I'm curious, could it spur other endorsements, like say from someone like John Edwards, who was non-committal on Leno's show this week?
I think that the timing is the most important thing here. I mean, Bill Richardson, generally on the Democratic side, I don't think endorsements drive voters all that much. Bill Richardson got 2% in Iowa, 5% in New Hampshire, and that was before the beard. So I don't think the voters are necessarily going to follow him. But the big question is, why now? Why did he do this now? There's nothing on the political calendar that would explain why he would make an endorsement now. What it indicates, I think, is that there's a shift happening on the Democratic side, with Democrats starting to realize that they need to settle on a nominee soon.
Let's quickly talk about Senator Clinton, because you mentioned the fact that Michigan and Florida are now not doing redos, and that's a huge blow to the Hillary Clinton campaign. Also, she was forced to release those documents detailing her schedule as First Lady, which pretty much revealed nothing. And then, of course, she got that Thursday night phone call from Richardson. Was this a really bad week for Hillary Clinton?
It is a bad week for Hillary Clinton. There's one thing that happened this week, though, that she might be able to make some political hay out of, and I think she'd be justified in doing so. Voters in the past have responded to a desire to kind of stand up for Hillary Clinton when they feel that she's been attacked unfairly in the press. This week, to have the press going through her schedules and saying where she was when her husband was cheating on her with Monica Lewinsky, I thought was disgusting, and I think a lot of people think it was disgusting. She hasn't yet responded to that in a campaign sense, but I think that she really could, in terms of asking voters or implying that voters should rally to her defense on that.
All right, Rachel Maddow, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Amy, thank you.